The damage of inflation to all Americans. Consumer prices up 5.4% in September from a year ago. That's the highest in 13 years. Supply chain bottlenecks and surging energy prices driving these increases. Joining me now, Tennessee Congressman, House Appropriations Committee member Chuck Fleischmann. Congressman, correct me if I'm wrong, you used to operate a small business, did you not? I just worry more than whether it's the supply chain crisis and the ability to find workers, increase wages, raise prices. In all of this, it is small businesses from coast to coast that are really getting, for lack of a better word, screwed.
I agree with you so much. And I was thinking exactly your thoughts this morning, Dagan. Here's the situation. When my wife and I operated a small business, everything mattered to the bottom line. There's no margin of error really for a small business. When costs go up, and we're seeing costs skyrocket in this economy worse than we've seen in 40 years. Thank goodness we started our business in 1987. And during the tail end of the Reagan years and the like, and things were good. God forbid if we just started it in the Carter years where we remembered those crazy inflation rates and the stagnation of the economy. But it's small businesses, but I'm hearing from manufacturers and distributors who are begging us to do something. Inflation is out of control. Biden just does not perceive this. His administration keeps going in the wrong direction. I'm concerned.
Monica, jump in here. Having worked in the Treasury Department, there's really nothing that this administration can say that will change the reality that people are feeling every day.
Well, that's right. I mean, the average American is living this economy on the ground every day, and these inflationary spikes are affecting everyday products. So every time you go to the grocery store, every time you go to fill up your gas tank, you're seeing it, and it's squeezing the poor, the working class, and the middle class most of all. So, look, we have pumped so much money down into the system over the last year and a half because of the pandemic. And what we know is that emergency level spending in the context of an actual emergency like last year is justified and necessary. But the Biden administration and the Democrats in Congress have kept up the emergency level spending absent the emergency. So not only do you have the supply chain disruptions that are driving up prices, but you have so much money sloshing around the system. Democrats want to spend even more. And of course, it's impacting those at the lower end of the income spectrum most of all. Those are the folks that the Democrats profess to champion. It's hurting those folks.
On that note, and Congressman, I also want to talk about another misstep, or disaster rather, is Biden's border policy. Now, the Biden administration is set to bring back President Trump's border policy, the Remain in Mexico policy, in the middle of next month. But this is after the Biden company were ordered to reinstate it by a federal judge. Will this make a difference in terms of beginning to secure our border?
It certainly will, and I'm so glad that you said that. The United States Supreme Court actually compelled them to do that. They didn't want to do that. In my role as the ranking member, the highest Republican on the Homeland Security Appropriations Subcommittee, I have advocated for this policy along with a reinstatement of the Trump-era policies to secure the border. Let's be honest with people. We had secured the border. Crossings were low. If we talk to the throngs of people coming over illegally, they're honestly telling people that Joe Biden invited them into this country. They've been told by criminals, coyotes, and cartels that they are welcome here without any problem. We had people from Haiti who were in Brazil and Chile coming over, now are sitting back in Haiti because they were duped. They were duped not only by the cartels, but by the Biden administration. We need a total recalibration, whether it's on the domestic economy, the foreign policy. Think about it. France takes their ambassador away, and clearly on the border. This is a crisis everywhere we look, and the Biden administration tries to change narrative to narrative. Let's face it, the narrative right now is failure. Yep. The American people need to demand more.
James Freeman, jump in here.
Yeah, thanks. I'm also kind of wondering about the role of the government of Mexico in all this. There was an interesting piece in the Dallas Morning News this week suggesting that part of the reason why you're seeing this increase in migration is whether it's an overall policy or just kind of a drift. There seems to be less cooperation from the government of Mexico. Is that how you see it?
Yes. As a matter of fact, Mexico has a problem on its southern border. We just received a briefing, non-classified briefing, so I can talk with you about it, from Border Patrol people at the highest levels. Mexico has its own problems. Fortunately, they are sitting down with us now and speaking again. But remember, President Trump did it the right way. He didn't ask Mexico. He told Mexico, look, you're going to do this, this, or we're going to do this, this, and that. And they understood that. It was good for Mexico, it was good for the United States, and it curbed illegal immigration into this country. Right now, it's porous. They're pouring across. And the worst news is more folks are coming. But yes, Mexico has its own internal problems, and hopefully they will work with us to curb it.
Congressman Chuck Fleischmann, thank you for being here this morning.
It's a pleasure.